Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Hong Kong. We're playing Shadowrun Returns, and we are in the what was the name of this place? It's Mahjong Cafe with Kindly Xing. We're going back to the boat, or the whatever it is. It's called the no, it's just Mahjong Parlor. It doesn't have any special name. We're going back to the boat over here. Speaking of, just be clear, if you're just coming in, you should probably check the playlist link in the description and go start from the beginning. This is very story related, and I read everything, so there you go. All right, we're going to go here. Safe boat, is that what they call it? Okay. Got bet. You can bunk here for a while. She nods with her nose towards a hatch. You've each got a head to take care of your necessities. Try to knock before you enter someone else's, okay? Seriously. I know the drill. Wu turns to you. Stinks of fish, just like that place we squatted at on Larry Avenue back when we were kids. The one with that Aztlan? Aztlan? Is that an I or an L? I think it's an L. Aztlan? Family and their dog. Remember being a dump. You hated that dog. They were good people. Yeah, until the 162s decided they wanted the place. He wipes his nose with a gloved hand. They were good people. Sorry that had to happen to him. He stretches and his spine pops like a handful of firecrackers. I think I've been up for something like 36 hours straight. He drops his arms. And this has been one shit stain of a day. Time to end it. The orc turns to you, raises an eyebrow. Anything you need before I leave you to it? Is it just you and Isabel living here? Is there a place for my stuff? How'd you get your hands on this place? I'm gonna grab some sack time too. I think I'll have a look around. How'd you get your hands on this place? How do people like us get our hands on anything? We found it. Oh. You found it empty? He sweeps his eyes across the cabin. The doubt is plain in his face. Somebody abandoned a prime piece of real estate like this? She shrugs. Close enough. It was full of BTL junkies when we came across it. They were completely wigged out on some multiplayer cyber game. I'm not sure they ever chipped out of it. They were completely emaciated, stewing in piles of their own shit. Their eyes had sunk into their skulls. Pretty gruesome stuff. They racked up a killer score, though. Reminds me of that that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation when they get that game from, I think it's from Ryza, and it stimulates the pleasure center of the brain so much that it becomes like instantly addictive, and then like they keep replicating them and stuff. And yeah, anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's really cool, and the reason why they have them and the reason why that they act like that comes to, well, ahead later on in the episode, of course, and it's actually interesting. True, they had the moves. Should have hung an IV while they were playing, though. Turns out nutrition is important. So what happened? Did they die? She shrugs. Nightjar ran them out. Not sure what happened to them after that. Anyway, it's all ours now. Anti-Shing says so. All but the engine room, you mean? Right, everything but that. Auntie rented it out from under us. That must have pissed you off. She shrugs. Whatever, we weren't using it. As long as our downstairs neighbor keeps to himself, he can have the lower level, especially if it keeps Auntie Ching happy. That's interesting. So who's in the lower level? That's my question. Is there a place for my stuff? I'm going to grab some sacks. Is there a place for my stuff? Yeah, check the locker over there. You can stash your stuff in it. No one will touch your things in here, and it's a lot bigger than it looks. Okay. So we've answered this already. Sack time. Good. You look like you could use it. We'll go see Kindly in the morning, figure out our next move. Wow, they moved fast. So is this where... Okay, so that's where to stay. Is there anything over here to look at? Well, this goes out, right? Yeah, the waterfront. So that's bed. Here's the stash, which I actually don't need at the moment. Right? Let's go out here. Let's look upstairs. Isabel. Oh, this is cool. Hatch. Let's talk to Isabel. Come back later, Spot. I'm busy. Okay. She's busy, it seems. Hey, Seattle, I'm not really in the mood to hang out right now. Heavy stuff going down, you know? I'll be fine, but for the time being, I'd rather be alone. We'll talk later, though. Okay, so at least we know we're there. She actually doesn't even... Like, I thought that was actually another guy there. Not that it's a problem, just, you know, is what it is. Hey, Ash, I got some things I gotta take care of here. Let's talk later. Okay, so nobody wants to talk. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna go to sleep then. Not much else to do, it seems. Nothing in here, right? Nope. Okay, we're gonna go to bed. Time to go to bed. Okay. Not disconcerting in the least. The dream is suffocating. The shifting tunnel of glass and steel, the towering salute of dark majesty, the shadowy doorway, and the teeth. They snap at your heels as you claw your way back to consciousness. And somebody happens to be in here. You open your eyes to Duncan looming over you. He shakes your shoulder roughly. Ash! Come on, Ash, wake up! We gotta go talk to Kindly. The others have already left. What's your problem, Duncan? That was one rough night. Lets go of your shoulder, cocks a thumb at the hatch. We gotta go. I've been trying to wake you for a while now. You were thrashing around in your sleep. One hell of a nightmare. He reaches up and rubs the back of his neck. Yeah, I didn't sleep well either. I had a bad dream last night, too. It's that thing down in the engine room. I'm telling you, whoever that is, whatever they're doing down there, that is suspicious right from the start. What about? He shrugs. I never remember my dreams all that well. It's probably motion sickness, not used to sleeping on a boat. I woke up a little while ago and hit the head. Then I came back and woke you. You doing okay? I'll survive. His fingers hit a knot. He winces. But man, nothing's gone right since we stepped a foot in this country. I'll tell you something, though, and this is after a full night's sleep. I don't believe Ray's dead. He's dead, Duncan. You heard the news report. You saw the surveillance. Yeah, that's all. That could be bullshit so easy, though. Hope you're right, but I gotta say, it doesn't look good. I'm right. Think about it. That statement from the cops on the newscast could be fake. Duh. Ours was. And that surveillance footage, we never saw Raymond get shot. The camera was hit by stray gunfire. His passion is intense but contained, focused. Raymond's alive, Ash. I know it. Make a good case, Officer Wu. So what do you want to do now? Raymond, Officer Wu? He smiles. His teeth are white and straight and perfect. Should have been a detective instead of a headbuster, right? His smile fades. God, I feel like I'm 12 years old again, squatting on a stinking trawler. My partner's gone. Raymond's gone. Hell, I'm gone. I don't even have a name anymore. And now I can't even go to sleep and hide from it all without having a nightmare. His jaw tightens and his teeth grind so loud you can hear it. What else is going to be taken away from me? You still have that piercing you got in Tacoma? Hold it together, Duncan. Nothing's time for us to turn the tables. Do some kind of our own. Taking of our own. I'm here, Duncan. Wait, what is this? I had to drop that. Hygiene issues. Wu struggles to smile. He fails. What the hell did we fall into here, Ash? I mean, what's coming next? Is it obvious? Look around. We're sinless, living in the shadows, dealing with criminals. I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll deal. We'll do that. He seems like he's on the verge of a mental breakdown or something. We don't want to push him. He drops his hands to his hips and takes a couple deep breaths. That's right, that's right. It's like Ray always said. Shut up, Duncan, and let Ash do the talking. Life is improvisation. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls, others build windmills. I like that one. He chuckles. Finally. Raymond never said that. It was our housekeeper, Mrs. Maloney. Oops. She had it tattooed on her back, right? How'd you see it? Oh. Don't mess with me, man. You know I've got anger management issues. He checks his watch. Gobet and Isabel left a while ago. We should get going too, see what that triad lady has to say. Hopefully Gobet and Isabel are still alive. That lady is freaky. Let's get the hell out of here. Alright. Hey look, it's raining. What a big surprise. Was this stuff here before? Some brown stuff. Looks like mold. Go in and talk to Ching. Who is this? Okay. Kindly's place reeks of stale cigar smoke and fresh urine. The clicking of mahjong tiles is strangely absent. In its place is a low murmur of laughter and an air of eager anticipation. All eyes are focused on the groaning figure kneeling bloody and bound at the feet of Kindly Xing. Chang, is it Chang Xing? I don't know. I'm always concerned about being that ridiculously ignorant American that doesn't know how to pronounce anything. But turns out I'm that ridiculously ignorant American that doesn't know how to pronounce anything. So, but I do care. She beckons to him with her finger and he struggles towards her. The loud rustling of the plastic tarp crackling under his knees as he moves. His pants are wet with fear. An acetylene torch lies on the table at Xing's right hand. Yeah, that's not good. That could be painful. Finally, Xing ignores the scene. She behaves as if all is right in the world. How did you sleep, my little ones? Like a baby, Auntie. I'm still in the afterglow of our tour of the walled city. Not too well, Auntie Chang. I had a bad dream. Fine, thanks. What's with the guy on the floor? She indicates the kneeling man with an incline of her nose. Shitbird here is a plainclothes cop. He snuck into the area last night while you were sleeping, hoping to find you and kill you before his competition got to you first. My men found him outside the trawler you were sleeping on. They saw to it that your rest was undisturbed and that your location remained a mystery. She nods her head back towards the pillar of meat standing behind her. You can thank Mr. Bayo for that. Oh, is that him? Where is he? Where is he? That's not him. Oh, this is him right here. Nod at Strangler Bayo, ignores him. Thank you for guaranteeing our safety, Mr. Bayo. So you're the night watchman now, buddy? Thanks. Nod. Bayo inclines his head 1/4 of an inch. She addresses the bloody man on his knees. Now, shitbird, tell my friends here what you told me. I don't know anything. I swear. We just got the orders in last night. He pushes his head toward you and Wu from the floor, struggling to keep his balance. So somebody high up wants these two dead. The whole department is on it. I don't know anything else. Someone from high up? The old woman lifts her foot, taps his chin with the toe of her shoe. How high? The cop looks up at her, looks around at the room filled with the triad soldiers. One of them opens his coat and shows the cop something inside. He closes it slowly and winks. The cop drops his head to his chest. All the way up. It's someone on the council. Someone on the executive council wants these two dead. Jing spits on him with a sneer. Fuck your ancestors to the 18th generation. Give me the truth. The cop wears the spittle. He never lifts his head. It's the truth, madam. I swear it. Whoever was labeled them as terrorists we are to terminate with extreme prejudice. Kindly Xing shuffles closer to the kneeling cop, reaches down and strokes his head with her hand. Then she slowly digs her fingers into scalp. She pulls back until his chin points high. The triad boss leans in close and searches his eyes with her own. That's all he's got. She lets go of his head and smooths his buzz-cut hair with her hand. For whatever reason, last night, someone on the executive council of the Free Enterprise Zone ordered the Hong Kong police force to kill two nobodies from Seattle. I find that fascinating, don't you? Not really. Corporations can just order the cops to kill people here. Can just kill them, right? Yes, but why do they need to label us international terrorists? She strokes the policeman's cheek with the back of her hand. Her rusty voice becomes sweet as she explains the ways of the world. Proprietary. Yeah, proprietary, my darling. When the government has someone gunned down, they prefer to make it appear justified. The people feel safer when their murders feel like part of civilization. My, but you have definitely fallen into the deep end of the pool. Seattle isn't like Hong Kong. There, the megacorps control the government. Here, the corps are the government. The exec council is chosen by the corporate board of governors. They're basically the legislative and executive branches of the Hong Kong government in one tiny package. 8 people call all the shots, neat and efficient. Kindly Shing steps back from the cop and lights one of her thin black cigars. For the wage slaves and the civilian sheep, the corporations are a pantheon of gods who wield absolute power. She looks around the room, but not for us. The triad woman takes a long pull from her cigar and taps her ash on the kneeling cop's head. Who else knows about my guest's visit to Hale's, shitbird? No one, madam. I hadn't called it in yet. I wanted to kill for myself. No one knows they're here, I swear it. She turns to her enforcer. Mr. Bayo? Bayo fiddles with the PDA in his meaty hands. He's telling the truth. No outgoing calls on his PDA. Very good. Thank you, Bayo. She nods at the cop. Thank you for your honesty. In one smooth motion, Strangler Bob produces a silenced pistol, fires it once into the policeman's head, and replaces it in his jacket. His face never changes expression. Looks like the triads can be just as efficient. I was wondering what we were going to do with him. Ching takes a drag on her cigar, indicates the body. He knew, my darling. He knew. She balances her cigar on her shot glass, picks up some mahjong tiles, and begins playing with them absently. It is clear our friend Raymond Black was up to something involving the walled city, something having to do with prosperity. And this executive council member wanted Raymond dead for it. She stacks her tiles one by one. Click, clack. Now they want you dead for it too. Click. This plastic-faced man may show up on your door one day too. She knocks the pile over and it clatters to the table loudly. I have a proposal for you, my sweets. A smile lights up the dead black eyes. Work for me. With Nightjar and Gutshot dead, I find myself with 2 job openings. Fill them. I have need of deniable assets here. Players unaffiliated with the triads who can take care of some of the more unsavory business needs about town. You've proven yourselves resourceful and you have no existing connections here. That can be a positive in this line of work. This line of work sounds dangerous. Shadowrunners. Wu grunts. His jaw tightens, but he stays quiet. In exchange, I will keep you safe from pests like this one. She nods at the body of the floor. The pool of blood on the plastic wrap continues to widen. You'll have safe harbor here in my town and a steady source of income. She picks up a handful of tiles again, and while you dip your toe into the waters of corporate espionage, organized crime, and clandestine mercenary actions, I will employ my network to find the plastic-faced man and gather information about Raymond Black. Where he's been, who he's talked to, who stood to gain from his death, what this prosperity could be. What's in it for you? Putting out a lot of effort to help a pair of foreigners. Not foreigners, my sweet. Valued business associates. I need to learn who killed one of my clients and then ordered the cops to execute my team of Shadowrunners. Her voice drops and she becomes deadly serious. This is a brazen disregard of my power. Face dictates it must be confronted, or I stand to lose everything. How would the arrangement work? We're Westerners, isn't that a liability in this business? We need to find out who killed Raymond and why. Liability. Oh no, on the contrary, there's a good market for out-of-town talent that's just waiting to be exploited. Plus, you're unknown. A surprise, if you will. I find the right jobs for people with your talents. You do what our clients cannot do for themselves. I take a finder's fee and a small percentage of your earnings. You make a lot of union very quickly. It's all very civilized. She leans in. Work with me. Allow me to help you make money. Let my network work for you and help you find out what you've gotten yourselves into. Without my help, you won't last a day out there. You are completely out of your depth, I'm afraid. You need a partner. Kindly Shing will be your partner. Wu's hands go to his hips. He drops his head and shakes it a little confused. I gotta wrap my brain around this, Ash. Things are moving fast. There's a lot to process. Think about it, Duncan. This gives us freedom to find out what happened to Ray. I don't know if we'd call this freedom. You had to see this coming, Duncan. I did. Come on, Wu. You and me, on the streets, together again. I know. I get it. I just gotta reconcile this whole... He grips the back of his neck, squeezes hard, rips his hand away. Ah, fuck it. I'm not a cop anymore. That guy's dead. He nods. The decision's made. I'm in. What about you? I'm in too. I didn't have anything back home anyway. There's good money in the shadows. It's about time I cashed in. I'm in until I can clear my name and get the hell out of Hong Kong. I'm gonna find out who killed Raymond. Someone's gotta pay. I think Ray's still alive too. Let's run the shadows and figure out what happened to it. This is good. Raymond is alive. I'm sure of it. So I'll run the shadows as long as Auntie Shing keeps up her end of the bargain and helps us figure out what really happened to him. Then I'm gonna find my father. Then it's done. Heo is now open to you. She gestures to her lieutenant, who raises a finger to her ear and whispers into her sleeve. First order of business. Spot here has already chosen a street name. She turns her attention to Wu, but Duncan Wu doesn't exist anymore. You'll need one too. Wu sighs. Yeah, okay, I'll think of something. Robette rubs her cheek against her rats, a glint in her eye. I think we've already got you covered, Gun Show. She turns to Isabel. Fits, doesn't it? Indeed. I knew that was gonna stick. It has stuck. Gobet, Isabel, will handle this the same way we did with all your previous work. She didn't say Nightjar. All the jobs I line up for you will be sent to your computer on the squat boat. She's pointing at you. She's pointing at us. Okay. Why are we in charge? Is that because we're the one playing the game? Or is that because... Is there actually story justification for it? Does she not trust them? Does she think that they're like, eh? I don't know. My computer? I'm not the leader type. I got it. Why him? It's a simple process of elimination. Oh, I guess we're going to get our answer, right? She points to the little decker. Isabel isn't the leader type. You got that right. She moves her finger to the orc girl. As for Gobet, let's just say Gobet doesn't have a head for business. Not my thing. Then she rests her finger on Wu. And then there's Gun Show. She wiggles it. The jury's out on Mr. Gun Show. Meaning? Her response is direct, straightforward. Meaning there's a lot going on within that head. Within, actually, I think there should be a hyphen there. Meaning there's a lot going on within that head of yours right now. Head of yours right now, and I'm not sure I can trust it. My reading comprehension is far better than it usually is when I'm playing this game. I don't know what my problem is. So I'm in charge because I'm the best of the worst. Guncho will be fine, trust me. Jury's out with me too. Okay. Oh, my sweet, don't put it that way. She opens her arms. You're the most equipped for the role. She's making sense. You're the right person for this, Ash. Okay, then. Guess I'm running the show. I had a handle back in the Baron's spot. Guess this time I dusted it off. We already talked about this. Ash Preston doesn't exist anymore. Call me Spot. We did that. Okay, fine. Wu shakes his head, eyebrows raised. Gonna be weird calling... Oh, okay. It's to him. Gonna be weird calling you Spot again. Haven't called you that since we were kids. Actually, what's funny is that, just a little personal information about myself, I use Spot everywhere. Like, I've been using Spot since I was 16. Like, my parents call me Spot. My family calls me Spot. No one ever calls me by my birth name. It just doesn't happen. Every business card I've ever had was Spot. It says Spot on it. Like the majority of everyone I've ever dealt with in business contacts would not know me if you asked them if they knew me by my birth name. They'd be like, who? And if you said Spot, they're like, oh yeah, Spot. Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So, this is kind of a funny thing for me. All right. Gobet looks from Isabel to Wu to you. I guess this is our new crew. The rat on her shoulder scurries to the top of her head for a better view. Welcome to the Shadows spot. Yay! Shadows! Activate the mission computer. All right. Let's get out of here. Crew advancement available. As you lead your team through the shadows, your companions will continue to develop and learn new combat skills. Clicking the icon in the lower right-hand corner of the screen will open the crew advancement. Oh, that's this right here. We'll open the crew advancement menu. When this icon is highlighted, one or more of your companions is eligible to learn a new combat skill. At each advancement level, you may choose one of two possible combat skills for each of your runners. Choose wisely. Awesome. All right. So we actually need to go back over here to the computer, right? I do like rain. Rain is great. There we go. Really? What's down there? Oh, wait, he did say that everything is open to us. Let's pop down here real quick. Hello. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted this space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. Oh, I wonder if this guy's going to be like a resource. A man in a black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a study workbench. He addresses you without turning. Ah, I was wondering when I'd meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of a Russian accent there, which you will not be hearing me do, but it's buried under layers of nuance. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment, and unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Take your time. I won't touch anything. Thanks for the warning. I know how to handle myself in a shop. I'll be fine. I won't touch anything. Ah, you're very kind. Thank you. Try to see what's on the screen. Examine the robotic arms mounted to the ceiling. You focus on the enormous manipulator arms that you saw earlier. They're bulky, industrial things, dented from years of heavy use. Each arm has been fitted with at least a dozen different welders, soldering guns, extruders, and metal fabrication tools. You've seen machinery like this in factories before, but they look terribly out of place in the bolt holes, cramped engine room. Very good. Yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Spot. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. Oop. You're too kind. Now, tell me, what can I do for you? His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts and his tone goes apologetic. Please, don't mind the drone. He can be territorial. But so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Ractor? Is it Ractor? My mechanical counterpart here is called... Oh, Ractor. My mechanical counterpart here is called Koshai? Koshie? Koshie? Shake his hand, a pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Heo, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. Absolutely, I don't have time to chat just now. Okay, yes. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's time enough to talk. So this morning's casting, what do you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting that I made of a new locomotive assembly for Koshie. He gestures at the display above the work table. A biomimetic design, as you can see. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod? A decapod crustacean. The mangrove crab, to be specific. You're designing drone parts in here? That's fascinating. Will this new leg assembly make your drone more effective? That remains to be seen, but there is more to life than combat effectiveness, is there not? By fabricating new components for Kashi, you know what? We're just going to do Kashi. I'm just going to call him Kashi. It's probably wrong. By fabricating new components for Kashi, I unlock options, different ways of being. Even the failures, if there have been many, have value in this context, and there have been many. How'd you learn to do all this? Wouldn't it be simpler to design the parts here and outsource the fabrication? Simpler? Yes, but not better. Here, I have ultimate control of the entire process from start to finish, and I have the skills to make good use of that control. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now that I have freed myself from the shackles of corporate servitude, I see little reason to rely on outsiders for much of anything. Hold on a second. The frick? there was like a little gnat or something on my screen, and it was like right here, just barely, and I was like, is that rendering wrong or what? And then I'm like, notice, I'm like, oh, there's a little gnat, weird. Now that oh yeah, okay. Kokoshi is an interesting name for a drone. Are you Russian? Hold on, go here. Yes, I suppose that it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. See, I don't have the academic etiquette. What was the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person. Koshi the Deathless, he was called, and for good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Koshi was a villain and a notorious kidnapper of women, but something about him always stuck with me. I suppose that it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure, and so when it came time to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to mind. And is your drone deathless, like its namesake? In a manner of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious, but alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koshi will become as deathless as the stories claim, but it will not be today. Are you Russian? I thought I caught a hint of accent there. He nods. You have a good ear. I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in Nizhny Novgorod. Went to school there. Started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I've also traveled a great deal. And in so doing, I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. How many languages do you speak? Counting Russian and Cantonese? 15. Wow. He shrugs apologetically. It shames me to admit that I am only literate in 12, however. That's still impressive. Perhaps when compared to the common man, but I've known a great many polyglots who can, and do, put me to shame. He gives you another half shrug, and Koshi mirrors the gesture. That's interesting. Arabic has been a particular bugbear of mine. The unfamiliar characters and lack of vowels make it damned tricky to get a handle on, but I suppose that all men have their limits. There's some interesting machinery in here, not the kind you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of Minion Hoy. I'm sure this is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you out of curiosity? The robotic arms that you've got over there, they look like something taken from an automotive assembly plant. His smile flashes brilliantly in the light. Good guess. That's precisely what they are. They fell off a boat, you might say. They weren't cheap, but I acquired them and had them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply had to have them. The return on investment has been dramatic. Yes, they're cruder by far than the Waldo devices that I used in my professional life, but they still do the job, and they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arm, still smiling. They've increased my fabrication capabilities nearly tenfold, and that, to me, is worth any price. You said that you used to work for a corp. Whose payroll were you on? He sighs. That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grishin Evacor, but you'll forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. Keeping all the machinery running can't be cheap. How can you afford it? Freelance. At the risk of sounding immodest, I've commodified myself rather well. Commodified. I've never heard that used that way. That's actually really a good word. There are always corporations in need of design consultations. You'd be surprised by how lucrative such work can be, and there is always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. You said that you did other work besides consulting. Care to tell me what kind? He pauses, and for a second something flashes in his eye. Koshi lowers its body into a crouch. A rather personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but then we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are, but even in personal conversations, certain topics can be held off limits. Truth be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my side work with relative strangers. Suffice it to say that my freelance activities often fall on the illicit end of the spectrum. To tell you what, I'm just going to guess. You're a Shadowrunner. It's okay, I'll drop the subject. Maybe we can come back to it later. Perhaps. He glances at the display on his bracer again. Now, will there be anything else? Side work. I have to get back upstairs. Very well. Come back anytime. It's pleasant to have someone to talk to. All right. So that's interesting. We will definitely going to come back to that later. I'm not going to press that right now. I don't think it's worth it. But it's interesting. We might be able to add him to our team later or buy from him. And I guess we need to actually tap into the computer here. But I'm going to put a cut here. This has actually gone a bit long. Although I plan on actually making these episodes a little bit longer than my normal like 20-minute target. Just because it's a, it's story and getting that little bitty chunk is kind of annoying. So I've been shooting for between 25 and 30 and it's me. So of course that means I'll sometimes hit 35, 36 like today. Yes. All right. Thanks for hanging out and we'll continue next time. Bye-bye.
We're going for the moon.
Hey there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. If you'd like to see more, just click subscribe. Come say hi to me on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, any of those. I hope to see you next time.